My engineer, he called. So you are now a mixer. Remember to wash your shirt. Cement will hold it. A few men laughed weakly. Chinedu's jaw tightened. Ebuka lifted a hand. Work is work, he said softly. The same hand that mixes today can sign tomorrow. Life is a wheel. Chijioke said and drove on. When they were gone, Chinedu shook his head. A man who has not seen tomorrow should not laugh too loud today. Chijioke and Ebuka were best of friends. They were both 5 years old, chasing a lizard across the sandy compound of St. Peter's Nursery School. The lizard escaped into a crack, and the boys stopped, laughing as if they had shared a secret. From that day, they sat on the same bench, shared crayons, and walked home together on the dusty road. They grew up in a small town where everybody knew one another. Mango trees bent toward the roadside. Women sold roasted plantain at the square, and a stream waited at the edge of town for children to wash their legs after football. The church bell rang every morning and evening, marking the time for prayers. Chijioke lived in a bungalow with a tall gate and a garden full of hibiscus. His father, Mr. Ifeanyi, was a trader who sold building materials in the market. His mother, Mrs. Adais, spoke softly, tied her headscarf neatly, and taught him kindness. At night, their house hummed with a generator. There was always food and cold water in the fridge. Ebuka lived near the mechanic workshops in a small house with leaking zinc. His mother, Chinyere, sold gari and groundnuts at the market. His father had left years earlier to look for work and never returned. Sometimes, Ebuka went to bed hungry, but woke up smiling, hiding his struggles from others. Still, the difference between them did not matter. They were like two sides of the same shadow. In school, when the teacher said, "Find your partner," their eyes met before their bodies moved. At break time, they paired up for football. "Let us never fight," Ebuka said one afternoon as they sat under an udala tree by the stream, sharing its yellow fruit. "We will not fight," Chijioke replied. "We will grow up and make money together." "And buy a bus for my mother," Ebuka said. "And build a big shop for my father," Chijioke added. They laughed and knocked knuckles, sealing their promise. Their class teacher, Miss Ogechi, liked neat handwriting and quiet pupils. Chijioke read with confidence, while Ebuka copied sums fast, his short pencil always sharp. When one made a mistake, the other whispered the answer. One term, a notice was pinned to the board. PTA levy, 2,000 naira per pupil. After class, Miss Ogechi called Ebuka aside. "Remind your mother," she said gently. "Yes, ma," he answered, staring at the floor. On the way home, Chijioke tried to encourage him. "My father can pay." "No," Ebuka shook his head. "I want my mother to do it herself. I want to see her smile because she tried." At week's end, Miss Ogechi read the list of pupils who had not paid. "Ebuka," she called. He stood quietly, eyes fixed on the chalk lines. After class, he walked fast, his face tight. Under the udala tree, he muttered, "I hate that list." Chijioke wanted to help, but he remembered his friend's pride. That evening, he told his mother everything. She listened, then handed him an envelope marked simply for school. "Give this to your teacher," she said. "Do not mention names." The next morning, Chijioke delivered it. By break time, the unpaid list was shorter. Ebuka never asked how. He only said, "God will bless those who gave." Life in Umuagu rolled on. Boys chased tires along the road. Women sold beans. Men argued over football. And radios played high-life songs. On Saturdays, Chijioke followed his father to the shop, watching men carry cement and iron rods. He admired the order, but wished for a future where his head worked more than his back. On the same days, Ebuka helped his mother at the market, measuring gari, tying groundnuts, and fanning her when she was tired. He wished for a future where his mother no longer carried loads. They often shared dreams. "One day, I'll study electrical engineering," Chijioke said. "I'll study civil engineering," Ebuka replied. I will build bridges. They spoke until dogs barked and the sky turned dark, their dreams giving them sweet sleep. In junior secondary school, they joined football training at the field behind the post office. Coach Namdi, with his whistle, made them sprint and pass. Chijioke played midfield. Ebuka defended strongly. Football is like life, the coach said. Look up, pass well, trust your teammate. They had always trusted each other. After practice, they saw a new shop, Ugochukwu Electronics. Music played from a radio and workers carried in TVs. One day, we will own a bigger shop, Ebuka said. Not just a shop, Chijioke added. A company. People will buy from us. They laughed, walking home under the orange sky. At a school debate titled, Education is Better Than Money, their school competed. Chijioke spoke with clarity about how education creates money. When challenged with, why do educated people have no jobs? Ebuka answered calmly, education opens the mind. If there are no jobs, educated people can create something. Their school won and their classmates carried them on shoulders. Afterward, Chijioke smiled. Education is better than money. Ebuka nodded. But we will find both. Not long after, Ebuka's landlord came demanding rent. Pay by month's end or I'll lock your doors, he warned. Ebuka's mother sat quietly, her eyes heavy. That evening, Ebuka told his friend, I will sell pure water after school at the junction. I will still do my homework at night. I will come with you, Chijioke offered. No, your parents won't like it. They will understand. We are brothers. And so, some evenings, Chijioke found excuses to join him. At the junction, they learned small lessons that drivers liked cold water on hot days, that soldiers could be kind, and that some customers never said thank you. They smiled anyway. On a Friday evening, they sat under the udala tree again, listening to the stream. We won't be small boys forever, Ebuka said. No, Chijioke agreed. One day, we will leave this town, go to university, and come back. We will return, Chijioke said, and build things here. They sealed it with their knuckles again. A girl named Adaizi Jr. passed with a bucket, greeting softly. A boy, Tochukwu, chased a tire with a stick. The first stars showed above them. Ebuka touched the tree bark. Let this tree be our witness. If we ever forget, it will remind us. We will not forget, Chijioke replied. The church bell rang in the distance. Shops closed. A mother called her child's name. A radio sang about hope. Side by side, the boys walked home, their steps matching. For now, that was enough. Years passed like water in a narrow channel. The small boys under the udala tree became young men with sharp jaws and long strides. The church bell still rang at 6, but life had grown louder. One Harmattan morning, news moved through town like dust. Mr. Ifeanyi had died in his sleep. People gathered at the big bungalow with the tall gate. Women tied wrappers and spoke in low voices. Men took off their caps and shook their heads. Inside, Mrs. Adais sat with the women, eyes swollen but steady. The smell of incense from the rosary mixed with fried plantain from the kitchen. There were soft prayers, then quiet, then more prayers. Ebuka stood near the gate, unsure. When he moved forward, he saw Chijioke by the mango tree. They looked at each other without speaking. I am sorry, Ebuka said. Thank you, Chijioke answered, eyes red but dry. It feels like I am not standing on ground. You are not alone, Ebuka said. They walked together to the graveside. Red earth fell like slow rain. The priest spoke of the shortness of life and the mercy of God. Aunties wept. Uncles blew their noses and folded handkerchiefs neatly. After the burial came the will. A lawyer named Chukwudi read it in the sitting room while the generator hummed. The business in the market and the 2 stores on the main road go to the first son, Chijioke, he said. The house remains for Madam Adaize. The shares in the transport line will be divided between them. The words dropped like stones in water. People nodded. God be praised, someone said. That night, the house felt empty, but full of new duty. Keys lay in a small bowl. Papers sat on the table. A heavy door had opened. At first, Chijioke walked into his father's shop like a careful visitor. The boys in the shop hailed him, Oga Noir. He smiled shyly, wore simple clothes, carried a small notebook. He checked ledgers, counted cement bags, walked through stacks of iron rods. He attended the market union with Uncle Nonso, learned who owed and who paid. Suppliers spoke to him. Your father was a straight man, one said. Maintain it. I will, he replied. He woke early, reached the shop before 8, sat on a small stool, returned home dusty. He was not yet the rich man people later talked about. He was a young man holding what his father left. Then money began to gather. Old debts were paid. New customers came because of the name they trusted. The 2 stores brought rent. The transport shares sent monthly returns. It was the slow work of many hands now coming to him. Still, it felt like magic. With money came people. Some advised, some clapped. Some sat in the office, sipped mineral, and spoke of deals. A man named Ikena, who ran an estate agency and wore a heavy watch, visited often. You need a better car, Ikena said. Customers respect car. It is called packaging. Somto, who supplied oil to small factories, added, Move from that old house. Your mother can keep it. You need your own place. A man must show he has arrived. The words settled in Chijioke's mind. That evening he looked at his room. Plain curtains, the old desk from secondary school, the road artist painting of a waterfall. They felt like another time. His mother watched him and kept quiet. When he finally told her on the veranda that he wanted to move out, she nodded slowly. You are a man, she said. Make your choices, but do not forget the steps that brought you here. I will not forget, he said. With Ikena's help, he bought a mansion in a new layout at the edge of town. The compound had a long driveway lined with small palms. The gate was high and black. The walls wore fresh paint. Inside, the sitting room spread wide. The floor shone, and a chandelier hung like a flower. He bought cars too. A black luxury car with leather seats that hugged the back. A red sports car that sounded like a deep drum when it started. People began to ask, have you seen Chijioke's house? They waved when he passed. With the big house came staff. A security man, Ezeogo, sat by the gate. A driver, Chuka, wore white gloves. A cleaner, Ifunanya, moved through rooms with a soft broom. He hired Kalechi, a young accountant, to keep the books and a personal assistant, Uzo, who carried a black diary and said, Sir, your 2 p.m. is here. Days moved faster. Mornings brought lists, site visits, supplier calls, a bank discussion for a new warehouse, a lunch with a developer wanting roofing sheets in bulk. Nights brought small gatherings, laughter, music, clinking glasses. The big TV showed football no one watched for long. Meanwhile, in a one-room apartment near the mechanic workshops, Ibuka's life pushed forward like a stubborn wheel. He had finished a small civil works course, top of his class, but jobs were scarce. He moved from site to site, asking for work. Some days he carried blocks and mixed concrete. Some days he waited at the roadside for a truck needing hands to offload cement. At night, he soaked gari, added groundnuts and sugar when he could. When there was extra, he boiled yam and ate with palm oil and salt. His mother, Chinyere, still sold gari, but her legs were weaker. He sent small money when he could. Jehovah will bless your hands, she said. He did not want pity, he wanted a chance. He wrote applications and dropped them at construction firms. He waited, called, and waited again. When there was no way, he did menial jobs. Cleaning a workshop for 2 weeks, helping a welder named Chigozi for a month, filing metal and holding frames. He kept looking for something close to what he trained for. He went once to the new house wearing his cleanest shirt. At the gate, he told Ezeugo, I want to see Oga Chijioke. Do you have an appointment? Ezeugo asked, not unkind. No, tell him Ebuka is here. Ezeugo called inside, listened, then said, Oga is busy. He will get back to you. Leave your number. Ebuka wrote his number on a small paper. Music floated from the compound. He thought of the Udala tree and a promise. He put his hands in his pockets and walked away. Days passed. No call came. They met by chance at a fuel station. The sun was hot. The queue was long. Ebuka waited with a jerry can for a sight generator. A black SUV rolled to the front. The window slid down. "Chijioke," Ebuka called, smiling with surprise and hope. Chijioke turned, took off dark glasses, and looked. Recognition came, then a tight smile. "Ebuka, long time." "I came to your house," Ebuka said. "They said you were busy." "Ah, I traveled," Chijioke answered too quickly. "New site, bank meeting. You know how it is." "It is well," Ebuka said. "How is Madam Adaizi?" "She is fine. Church every morning." "How is Mama Chinyere?" "She is managing. We thank God." Silence sat between them. The attendant capped the tank. "Let me call you," Chijioke said. "Drop your number again." "It is the same number," Ebuka replied, trying to keep his voice light. The car moved off. Ebuka stood a moment, then returned to the line. That night, Adais visited her son. She sat on a soft sofa and looked around the cool, beautiful house. "My son," she said, "your father wanted you to stand. He would be happy, but the way a man stands matters. Do not stand on people's heads." "Mama," he said, "I help people. We paid for the church roof. We sent money to the orphanage." "Yes," she said, "those are good. But remember the ones whose names you know. Remember the one who held your school bag when you were tired. Wealth is not only where money goes, it is where your heart stays." He looked away and nodded. Soon after, Chinyere fell ill with malaria that refused to break. Nurse Ebere gave medicine and asked them to return if the fever stayed. It stayed. The doctor asked for tests and a deposit. That night, Ebuka lay on a mat, staring at the ceiling. Then he took his phone and typed a message. "Brother, good evening. This is Ebuka. My mother is sick. I need help with her hospital bill. If you can support me, I will pay back little by little when I get work." The reply came, "Sorry to hear. I am outside town. Send account details to my PA, Uzo. He will see what can be done." He got alert in the morning. It helped, but did not cover the deposit. Ebuka said thank you, then carried blocks that afternoon with worry on his chest. He borrowed from Chigozie and promised to return it in 2 weeks. He paid the hospital. Chinyere, his mother, got better. She sat in the sun, ate bread and tea, and smiled. Ebuka returned the borrowed money in small parts. He sent thanks to Uzo. No reply came. Months passed, and the gap grew, not in miles, but in daily choices. Chijioke's phone filled with new names: estate men, bank managers, contractors who wore strong perfume. He went to weddings under white canopies where bands played high life till midnight. He dropped brown envelopes and people shouted his name. "Chief," some called, though he had no title. He laughed and waved. Ebuka woke early, ironed his best shirt with a charcoal iron, and walked to drop another application. Sometimes the receptionist smiled, sometimes she did not look up. He prayed for a job that used his head as much as his hands. He fixed a neighbor's leaking roof for small money. He still joined boys at the field some evenings, but his breath came faster now. On Sunday, he saw Madame Adais after church. "My son," she said, holding his hands, "how are you?" "We are trying," he said. "Come and see me," she told him. "Do not leave me for that big house alone." He went in the afternoon when he knew her son would be at a site. They drank wine on the veranda and spoke of the udala tree. She laughed at his small market stories. When he left, she said, "God will surprise you." At the end of the year, there was a housewarming at the mansion. Cars lined the street. A band played under a tent. Men wore white, women wore lace. Trays of jollof, pepper soup, small chops, and shining meat moved around. The new circle clapped for the host and took pictures. Ebuka did not go. He heard the music from far away and closed his window. He cooked beans and ate quietly. A neighbor's child, Oluchi, ran in for water. He gave her a cup. She smiled, a bright smile that did not care about wealth or lack. That night, the town held 2 truths: a big house full of light and a small room with beans on the stove. The same wind touched both roofs. The same moon looked down. Before going to bed, Ebuka stepped outside and faced the old road. He thought of the udala tree and the promise two boys made with sweet juice on their fingers and the stream whispering nearby. He wondered when a road bends, at one corner or through small curves until you face another way. Far away, the mansion lights stayed on. A man raised a glass. "To success!" voices answered. "Here, here." Chijioke smiled and lifted his own glass. His face looked like a billboard, smooth, sure, shining. Inside, something tugged. A small thread caught on a nail. He pressed it down with laughter and turned to greet new guests. The town slept in parts and stayed awake in parts. A dog barked and went quiet. A generator started and stopped. Udala leaves turned in a breeze nobody felt. Two boys, now men, lay on separate beds and dreamed different dreams under the same sky. The distance between them was not measured in miles, but it was real and it was growing. The year rolled into another, and pride sat on Chijioke like a fine coat. It showed in how he walked, talked, and measured people with his eyes. He no longer waited in lines. He spoke fast, smiled wide, and expected doors to open before he reached them. One Saturday morning, Ebuka sat on a low stool at a roadside barber shop. The shop had a zinc roof and a mirror with a crack like a thin river. The barber, Emeka, moved his clippers gently while a radio played High Life. Boys waited outside, talking football. A black luxury car stopped. The glass slid down. "Is that not Ebuka?" Chijioke called, smiling like a man with a saved joke. "Still wearing that same shirt?" The boys laughed to please the big man in the big car. Ebuka looked at his clean but faded collar. The words felt like small stones on his chest. He gave a small smile. "Life turns like a wheel, my friend. No condition is permanent." "Make sure the wheel turns before it breaks," Chijioke said, laughed, and drove off. Dust rose and settled on the leaves near the gutter. Emeka paused the clippers. "Do not mind them," he said. "I do not mind," Ebuka replied softly, but his eyes were wet. He blinked and faced forward. A week later, there was a church harvest. The compound was full. Women wore bright wrappers. Men fanned themselves with program sheets. The choir sang about mercy. Gifts stood on a long table. Yams, a live chicken, rice, fruits. When it was time for donations, names were called. People dropped envelopes. Some gave quietly, some gave with loud smiles. When it reached Chijioke, he stood slowly, adjusted his native wear, and announced a large amount. The hall clapped. The band played a short tune. As he walked back, he saw Ebuka in the second row from the back. Their eyes met. "Ah, Ebuka," he said, loud enough for many to hear. "Thank God for that shirt. It has carried you far." He laughed like he was only playing. Some looked down, some smiled thinly. Adaisi shut her eyes for a slow second. When Ebuka's turn came, he carried a small envelope, dropped it, knelt for a short prayer, and rose. "Life turns like a wheel," he said evenly. "No condition is permanent." He sat and clasped his hands. After Mass, an old man, Maduka, with a brown walking stick and kind eyes, came to him. "Do not let a man's mouth push you to anger," he said. "The ground that drinks rain today brings harvest tomorrow." "Yes, sir," Ebuka replied. On a hot afternoon, Ebuka stood in a long queue at the bank. The air inside was cold, but the line moved like a tired snail. He held a small file with his certificates and a letter he hoped to submit to a contractor. He also came to withdraw small rent money. The side door opened. Chijioke entered in a fine shirt, Uzo behind him with a black diary. The security man saluted. The line broke a little. The manager, Uju, came out smiling. "Oga, you are welcome," she said. As he passed, Chijioke saw Ebuka and slowed, mischief in his eyes. "Still pushing files? No AC on that, your QO. Come to our side and breathe rich air." He laughed and moved on. A young woman in the line touched Ebuka's arm. "Sorry," she said. "Thank you," he answered. "Life is a wheel. It turns." When the group left, the line moved again. Ebuka made his small withdrawal, stepped outside, and sat on a low concrete step. He breathed in and out, slow. Later, he went to the market to help his mother. He lifted a bag of gari, tied ground nuts in sachets. A woman named Ifeoma counted money and shook her head. I saw what happened. The same sun that shines on the rich shines on the poor. Keep your faith. I keep it, he said. Another evening, at a suya stand near the roundabout, pepper and smoke filled the air. Men chewed and argued about the league. The vendor, Izuchukwu, cut meat and wrapped onions in paper. Ebuka waited to buy a small portion for his mother. A red sports car stopped with loud music. Chijioke came out with Ikena and Somto. They greeted loudly and ordered big. Seeing Ebuka, Chijioke called, "Ah, my guy," still counting coins for suya. Low laughter moved around. Heat rose to Ebuka's face. "We thank God for small," he said. "No condition is permanent. Make sure it changes before you finish secondary school again." Chijioke grinned. His friends chuckled. Izuchukwu paused, then added 2 strips of meat and extra onions for Ebuka. "For Mama," he said lightly. "Thank you," Ebuka replied, and walked home in steady steps. News of the mockery moved through town the way small news moves, by lips, by hands, by looks. Some said it is play. Some said the rich man has changed. Others said nothing and folded their thoughts like cloth. On Wednesday, Ebuka carried small cement samples to a local site testing mixes. He hoped to show he knew the right ratio for a small drainage. The foreman, Chinedu, greeted him. "If this holds, I will put your name on the next job," Chinedu said. They bent over the wheelbarrow. Ebuka measured sand and stone, added water, and turned the shovel till the mix looked like thick pap. "Do not rush water," he said. "Too much weakens the block." Chinedu nodded. "You did not read book and forget your hand." They poured a test mold and tapped it. A convoy of cars passed, horn blaring, dust lifted. "It is the new committee for the school fence," someone said. At the front was Chijioke's car. He saw Ebuka with the shovel and slowed. "My engineer," he called. "So you are now a mixer. Remember to wash your shirt. Cement will hold it." A few men laughed weakly. Chinedu's jaw tightened. Ebuka lifted a hand. "Work is work," he said softly. "The same hand that mixes today can sign tomorrow. Life is a wheel." Chijioke said, and drove on. When they were gone, Chinedu shook his head. "A man who has not seen tomorrow should not laugh too loud today." "Leave it," Ebuka said. "Let us finish the test." He walked home with feet white from dust, but a steady heart. Children chased a tire. A woman called from a veranda, "Nwoke Oma, help me shift this basin." He helped and moved on. At night, he knelt by his bed, a simple foam on the floor. "God, you see me," he prayed. "Give me a chance. Keep my heart clean." He lay down and slept. At the mansion, laughter sat in the air like perfume. Friends came and went. New faces learned the path to the gate. Old faces avoided it. Adais visited less. When she came, she chose early hours and left before the house filled. "Take care of your mouth," she told her son on the veranda. "A rich man's laugh can wound like a whip. A poor man's silence can shame like a mirror." "Mama, you worry too much," he said. "I have lived long," she replied. "Pride is a fat goat. It enters a farm as if it owns it until a rope finds its neck." He sighed and changed the topic. Another day at the fuel station. The sun was harsh. The queue ran to the road. Ebuka stood with a yellow jerry can. He had promised a widow, Ozioma, to buy fuel for her small generator. He kept checking the time. A sight would start soon. The black luxury car rolled in again and slid to the front. The glass went down. "Ebuka, my man," Chijioke said. "Are you now a fuel seller? Do you collect transfer or only cash?" Some men laughed. Others looked away. A thin boy at the pump wiped the nozzle with a rag again and again. "I came to buy for Mama Ozioma," Ebuka said. "We must help one another. The wheel turns." "Let it turn fast, oh," came the reply. "If not, your legs will finish." The pump clicked. The car moved off. The line sighed and shifted. Ebuka filled the can, paid, and walked away. The thin boy ran after him. "Uncle, let me help you carry it small." They carried it together to the corner. Ebuka went on alone. By now, many people pitied him openly. Women kept small fruits aside. "Take, my son," they said. "Pay later." Men at the junction greeted him with respect. They did not tell him long pity stories. They told him short jokes to make him smile. But pity did not become his name. He did not sit by the road to beg for eyes. He left early, returned late, and kept his hands busy. He kept a small book of people who helped and the little debts he owed. He did not let a week pass without paying something. He cleaned his shoes at night, ironed his shirt with care, spoke gently to his mother, greeted children with warmth. On a Sunday, after rain washed the dust, he passed the old path near the stream. The udala tree stood older, branches thick, fruit high. He placed his palm on the bark and closed his eyes. "Life turns like a wheel," he whispered. "We will not break before it turns." Footsteps came. It was Coach Namdi, older now but with the same kind face. They greeted and walked a short while. "I hear many things," the coach said. "I also watch how you carry them. You carry them well." "I carry them because God carries me," Ebuka said. "Good," the coach replied. "Run your race. Do not look too long at the man in another lane." They reached the main road and parted. That week, a hardware supplier, Onyinye, called. She had heard from Chinedu that Ebuka knew his mixes and took care with work. "I have a small drain job by the school," she said. "Not big money, but clean work. If you do it well, I will mention your name to a bigger man." "I will do it," he said. He showed up early, measured well, kept neat records, and paid the two boys who helped him on time. Water ran through the drain like a straight line. The head teacher, Augustine, came out with hands behind his back, looked and nodded. "This is how work should be," he said. "Thank you, sir," Ebuka replied. He went home tired but light. He bought bread and beans and shared a little with the widow next door. His mother smiled. "Jehovah does not sleep," she said. "No, he does not," he answered. Far away at the mansion, a small crack started where no one could see. It was not on the wall or gate. It was inside the heart of the man who laughed too loud. Very late, after guests left and the house grew quiet, Chijioke stood by the window and looked into the dark compound. He thought of a barber shop with a cracked mirror, a church table with small envelopes, a suya stand with smoke rising, a boy at a stream saying, "We will build things here." Pride did not vanish. It still stood tall in the day. But in the deep night, another voice rose from far inside and asked slow questions. The wheel turned in silence. The town slept and woke. People lived, hoped, and worked. And the story moved forward with steady steps on hot earth under one wide sky. The good days began to feel like wind. They came and went fast. Music filled the mansion most nights. New faces walked in and out. Laughter sat on the chairs like another guest. Chijioke stood in the middle and smiled wide. He liked how people looked at him, how they called his name with praise. "Chief," some said, clapping him on the back. In the mornings, Uzo brought long lists that looked like big things. Ikena talked about land and houses. Somto talked about oil and quick profit. Chijioke liked all of it. One afternoon, Kelechi stood in the office with a file. His voice was calm. "Sir, we are spending too fast. Let us slow down and settle old suppliers. Let us keep more cash." Chijioke waved him off. "Relax. Money moves. If you hold it too tight, it dies. A land deal is coming. A supply deal is coming. When they drop, you will see." Kelechi nodded, worry in his eyes, set the file down, and left. That week, Ikena came with a map and a wide grin. The AC hummed. A cold bottle sweated on the table. "This land at Aroma Extension is hot cake," he said, tapping the map. "Title is clean. The family wants quick sale. If you move now, take 20 plots. In 6 months, you double your money." "How much deposit?" Chijioke asked. Ikena wrote a figure. Chijioke laughed. "Let us do it." Uzo asked. Should lawyer Chukwudi check the title? Ikenna smiled. We are on ground. The paper is clean. Chijioke slapped his shoulder. We move. A heavy deposit left the account. Ikenna left with joy in his step. 2 weeks later, Somto arrived with a folder. He spoke fast. Local government clinic is buying diesel for a full year. There is a letter. They will pay well. I have the link. We just need to pre-fund 3 months. He showed a stamped paper. It looked fine. Kelechi cleared his throat. Sir, can we confirm with the clinic? Somto laughed. If you go there, you will scatter the plan. Government people like calm. Put money down. Supplies will move. Money will follow. Chijioke signed. More money left. Then a man named Chibuike came with smooth answers. 2 containers of floor tiles and sanitary wares, he said. Already on the water, stuck at the port by small customs matter. We need clearing money. Your profit will be sweet. 10% of the shipment. Uzo squinted. Bill of lading, container numbers. Everything is with me, Chibuike said, tapping his briefcase. Trust came easy. Money left again. Spending showed in the house too. New curtains, new furniture, new sound system, a small pool, 2 more staff. A chef, Udo Chukwu, whose pepper soup burned sweet. A decorator, Ozioma, who hung gold color light in the dining room. Adais came one evening, watched men carry a glass table, and said, a wise man builds a fence before a fountain. Pay who you owe before you buy what shines. He kissed her cheek. Mama, enjoy the good life. The days will only get brighter. But clouds were gathering. First, the land at Aroma Extension. A government pickup came one morning and planted a board on the site. Under government acquisition in bold red. A crowd formed. Somebody called Ikenna. His phone rang, then switched off. 2 days passed before he picked. It is a small setback, he said thinly. We will settle it. Give me time. Return the deposit, Uzo said. Calm down, Ikenna replied and vanished like smoke. Then the clinic deal. Somto's paper went back and forth for weeks. Twice, a delivery truck waited at the gate without moving. The clinic said they did not know the deal. The letter was traced to a staff with no power to sign. He had traveled. Somto lifted his hands. I was a middleman. I also lost face. Let us forgive one another. Bring back my money, Chijioke said. I do not have it, Somto answered, and soon relocated. The containers never arrived. At the port, no one found the numbers Chibuike gave. He stopped picking calls. His office address led to a small locked shop. A neighbor said, he used to sit here sometimes. That was all. Kelechi opened the file again. His voice was flat. Sir, our cash is low. Suppliers are calling. The bank loan we took to push these deals will mature soon. If we do not pay, they will take the warehouse we used as collateral. Call Uju at the bank, Chijioke said. Let us roll it. Uju came with a firm face. You are a good customer, she said. But policy is policy. We can extend a little. Interest will rise. Please pay what you can. He signed again. Interest rose. Cash dropped. The smile on his face became work. Suppliers who used to greet with 2 hands folded their arms and asked for old bills. Oga, that last 20 tons, said Chidera. You have not settled. My boss is on my neck. I will settle you next week, Chijioke said. Please, make it this week, Chidera replied, tired. At the shop, the boys were restless. Stock reduced, credit lines closed. Men who asked for 20 pieces said, we will come back when cash shows. The union chairman, Okechukwu, sent a polite note. Pay union dues. Times are hard for all. At the mansion, nights grew quieter. Fewer cars came. The band stopped. The chef asked for salary and did not get it. He left. Ezugo, the security man, found hotel work and left. Ifunanya cleaned fewer rooms and stopped coming. The staff who stayed did so because they still believed or had nowhere else to go. Uzo stayed. Kelechi stayed. They came early, left late, spoke less. One morning, a loan officer pasted a notice on the warehouse gate. Default. Property under receivership. People stood across the road and whispered. That afternoon, the bank took the warehouse. The goods inside were small. The space was big. Emptiness echoed. Chijioke drove home in the black luxury car and sat in it a long time. The house felt wide and cold. He lay on the bed with his shoes on and did not sleep. The next day, the red sports car was taken at a junction. Two men showed papers. "Sir, this car is part of the collateral. We are sorry." He watched them drive it away. A small group watched too. Someone said, "Chai." Another said nothing. That evening, Adaeze found him at the dining table, head in hands. She placed her palm on his back. "Cry," she said softly. "Let it out." He did not cry. He only breathed hard, like a man who ran too far and met a wall. Bills kept coming. A tax letter. A court paper for an old debt. The light company cut power. A man from the auction house, Arinze, arrived with a kind face and sad eyes. "There is an order to auction this property," Arinze said, looking at the big sitting room. "I will try to make it neat, but the date is fixed." "Is there no way?" Chijioke asked. Arinze shook his head. "If you find money before the date, bring it. If not..." He did not finish. Calls to old friends went unanswered. Ikena's number rang once and cut. Somto's phone stayed off. Men who shouted his name at the gate now acted busy when he walked in. Even the loud boys looked small when he passed. They greeted fast and looked away. On the morning of the auction, the sun came out early. A crowd stood outside the gate. Some pity, some curiosity. Arinze's team placed a board, lined a few chairs, set items near the glass door, a rug, a table, speakers. The chandelier stayed. No one knew how to touch it. Hands went up. Voices called prices. It felt like a market day, but a sad one. Uzo wore a plain shirt and moved like a ghost. Kelechi stood near the wall, filed to his chest like a child. Adaeze sat on a small stool and prayed in a low voice. When the last item went, Arinze cleared his throat. "The house itself," he read, "is to be auctioned by order of court." He read the starting price. A man in blue kaftan raised his hand. Another raised again. "Sold," a voice said. It took 3 days to pack out. There was not much to pack. Clothes, some books, a framed photo of his father holding a tape in front of the old shop. Adaeze carried a small pot she liked. Uzo and Kelechi lifted boxes and said nothing. On the last evening, as the sun dropped, the new owner's men came with paint and brushes. They covered the old color with new, while the smell of thinner filled the air. The gate closed behind the last car. Not the black luxury car, not the red sports car, but a small borrowed pickup with dents. They moved back to the old bungalow. The gate was low. The hibiscus still opened like cups. The generator coughed and kept quiet. The air held the smell of soap and palm oil. Adaeze made simple food and set the table. She did not say, "I told you." She did not say, "Why did you not listen?" She only said, "Come and eat." He sat, looked at the food, and ate slowly. When he finished, he washed his plate and sat on the veranda. Night insects sang. Far away, a small generator rattled. Uzo stood at the door. "Sir, I will still come tomorrow. We can start again from the shop in the market. It is small, but it is not nothing." "Thank you," Chijioke said quietly. "You can go and rest." Kelechi came after, placed a small brown envelope on the table. "Sir, my little savings. Keep it for Mama's medicine if she needs. I will still work with you if you want. We can plan better now." Tears came to Chijioke's eyes, small but true. He hugged Kelechi like a brother. "Thank you." When they left, he walked out alone. His feet knew the road, past small shops, the barber shop with the cracked mirror, the suya stand where Izuchukwu sliced meat under a dim bulb. "Oga," Izuchukwu said softly, raising a hand. "You are welcome." "Good evening," Chijioke replied, voice low. He kept walking to the old path near the stream. The udala tree stood, bigger, older, strong. He placed his palm on the rough bark. The tree did not speak. It stood like a witness. He remembered a small boy with dust on his legs and a friend by his side. Sweet udala pulp on the tongue. A promise said with a laugh, "We will build things here." Another line, spoken to him again and again by the man he had mocked. "Life turns like a wheel. No condition is permanent. He sank to the ground, back to the tree. The stream made its small sound in the dark. A bird called once and went quiet. He looked up at the sky through leaves. I am sorry, he said, to God, to his father, to his mother, to the friend he had wounded, to himself, maybe to all. He stayed there a long time until the breeze felt like a hand on his face. When he stood, he felt light in a sad way, like a man who dropped a load and now sees the marks on his shoulders. He walked home with slow steps. No car followed, no music played, no one shouted his name. The town slept in parts. The night held its peace. In one small house, a mother prayed softly. In a small room, a man lay on a foam and stared at the ceiling. He was broke, forgotten by many, full of regret, but the wheel that turned down could also turn up. He did not know when or how. He only knew the ground under his feet and the sound of his own breath. He lay down and closed his eyes. Somewhere in his chest, a small place stayed awake, not with pride, but with a thin thread of hope he did not yet dare to touch. When the sun went down and the town grew quiet, Ebuka's day did not end. He washed his hands, wore a clean shirt, and walked to the community polytechnic for night classes. The hall had long benches and a humming fan that shook as it turned. A slim woman with sharp eyes, Mrs. Uloma, taught business management for small firms. She spoke in simple words and drew boxes and arrows on the board. "Your money must have a home," she said, tapping the board with chalk. "One bowl for business. One bowl for personal. Do not mix. If you mix, you will not know where your money went." Ebuka sat in front, took notes, and asked questions. After class, he waited to speak with her. "Madam," he said, "I do small construction jobs. How do I keep records when cash comes in small, with many small payments?" "Use a small book," she said, smiling. "Write every job, write every cost. Buy 2 receipt books, one for money in, one for money out, and pay those who help you the day you promise. Trust grows when dates are kept." He thanked her and walked home with a new strength in his chest. He had no car, but he had a plan. By day, he worked. He mixed concrete, measured sand, repaired cracked gutters, and patched classroom floors. The head teacher, Mr. Augustine, remembered the neat drain he had done. "Come and fix the broken step by primary 4, Augustine said on Monday. "Inspection is next week." "I will finish by Friday," Ebuka replied. On Friday, pupils walked up a new step that did not shake. Augustine signed a small testimonial on school letterhead. Work delivered on time and neat. Ebuka folded the paper like a treasure. He saved every extra naira. When friends stopped by at night, he smiled and said, "I have class." He let results speak. In his small room, he built a file. The school testimonial, before and after photos, copies of his ID, tax card, and letters he used to apply for work. He wrote a 1-page profile. At the top, he put a name for his new company, Ebuka Build and Supply. He went with a friend, Chukwuma, to register it at the secretariat. Forms, lines, waiting. When the certificate came, he held it like a newborn. "Congratulations," the woman at the counter said. "Thank you," he replied, voice shaking a little. The first things he bought for the company were not a phone or a chair. He bought 4 safety vests, 2 new shovels, a strong wheelbarrow, and a measuring tape that did not lie. He hired 2 young men he trusted, Somadina, who worked hard and talked little, and Koziso, who could read a tape and carry a load with care. He paid them at the end of each day with a handshake and a smile. "Thank you," he told them. "We will grow together." They nodded and came back the next morning. At night class, Mrs. Uloma taught costing. "Price your jobs with sense," she said. "Add materials, labor, transport, then a small profit. Do not cut your throat to please a customer. A job that makes you lose money is not a blessing. Ebuka ran the numbers for a small walkway Ozioma, the widow, wanted behind her shop. He wrote it down and showed her. "You are honest," she said. "Do it." He did it in 2 days. She brought warm okpa as thanks. One day, he walked into the bank with his file. The manager, Mrs. Uju, knew him by face from many quiet visits. She had seen him in long lines and the care with which he filled forms. "Madam," he said in her office, "I want a small loan to buy a compacting machine. It will help me finish jobs faster and neater." "Show me your records," she said. He placed his file on the table. She turned the pages. Neat book, receipts, the school testimonial, photos, the business certificate. "Your records are clean," she said. "Do you have a guarantor?" He took a breath. "Yes, Elder Maduka." Uju made a call, asked 3 questions, listened, and nodded. Then she turned back. "We will give you a small loan," she said, "but pay as you promised. If you keep your word, the door will open wider next time." "I will pay," he said. He bought the compacting machine, oiled it, covered it, and treated it like a child. On site, the ground now lay flat and firm. Customers noticed. "Your work is different," said Ijeoma, a pharmacy owner, after he resurfaced the space in front of her shop. "It looks simple, but it lasts." "It will last," he replied. "That is our pride." Jobs grew by word of mouth. Onyinye, the hardware supplier who first gave him a chance, began to give him better prices because he settled bills on time. She liked his habit. He wrote delivery notes clearly, signed them, and returned copies the same day. "Take materials on 3 days' credit," she told him. "I know you will pay." He kept his promise every time. He also kept his nights. He did not stop class. He wrote assignments by hand. He stood to present on how to win trust without big money. "Come early," he told the class. "Do what you said. Keep things clean. Take small jobs serious. If you cheat a small job, you will not see a big one." His words were plain. His classmates clapped. At home, Chinyere watched her son and shook her head with joy. She prayed in the early morning and boiled yam for him. "God is doing it," she said. "Do not change." "I will not change," he replied. He opened a small office near the market, 1 desk, 2 plastic chairs, a shelf for files, and a wall with pictures of finished jobs. He painted the wall himself on a Sunday and wrote his company name in neat letters. He hired a young woman, Ngozi, to answer calls and type invoices. "Greet people well," he told her. "Do not promise what we cannot do. Write things down." "I will, sir," she said. The office gave him a new face. People now had a place to find him. They came with plans, scraps of paper, photos on their phones. He listened, measured, advised, and wrote simple quotes. He did not talk like a big man. He talked like a man who knew his hand. A big rain came one night. By morning, many compounds had water sitting in corners. The council hall had a flooded entrance. The councillor, Mr. Chukwuma, called for help. 2 contractors spoke big grammar. Ebuka arrived last. He knelt, touched the ground, and followed the slope with his eyes. "Water wants a path," he said. "Give it a small road and it will stop fighting you." He sketched a narrow drain from the gate to the gutter outside, priced it modestly, promised 3 days, finished in 2. When it rained, the water moved out like a guided child. People clapped for simple sense. The councillor shook his hand and kept his number. A month later, an NGO working on school sanitation visited the council. They asked for a local firm to fix hand wash stations and small drains in 6 schools. Enkiru, the visitor, looked doubtful. "He is young," she said. "Can he deliver?" "He will," the councillor replied. "He keeps time." They called Ebuka for a meeting. He wore a clean shirt, carried his file, and spoke clearly. "I can do this," he said. "I will not beg for more money in the middle. My price covers the work. If rain disturbs, I will work late." They gave him 2 schools first. He finished both in 1 week. He sent photos and a 1-page report with receipts attached. Nkiru smiled. "Give him the rest," she told her team. Work grew. He hired 2 more men, UCHE and EBUBE. He bought a second wheelbarrow and more tools. He set rules. Helmets on site, vests on, no cursing, no shouting at customers. He paid on Fridays in envelopes with names and a simple pay slip. He never delayed. He started a WhatsApp status where he posted work with short notes. Day 1, layout. Day 2, pouring. Finished, clean site. He did not show off. He showed process. People liked it because it looked honest. One evening, a message came from a number he did not know. My name is Anayo. I live abroad. My sister, Ijoma, sent me your status. I want to invest small money in a clean local business. Can we talk? They spoke on video. Anayo liked that Ebuka did not rush or sweet talk. He liked the way Ebuka showed records on camera and explained profit with numbers in pencil. Let us try, Anayo said. I will put a small amount. Use it to buy a small mixer. Send monthly updates. No pressure, just truth. I will send truth, Ebuka replied. Another investor came from near home. Elder Maduka brought his friend Mama Uloma, who sold building blocks by the river. This boy keeps his word, the old man said. Put stock in his hand for 30 days. He will return your money with thanks. They tried him. He did not fail. 2 years passed like 12 steady months. Ebuka Build and Supply became a name people spoke with calm respect. The company registered for bigger jobs with the State Works Office. They did not win all tenders, they lost many, but when they lost, they learned and sharpened their quotes. He added a small Saturday training for boys who wanted to learn. He did not charge except for a broom and a book. Come, watch, learn to measure, he told them. A straight line saves money. A clean site brings the next job. Some weeks, he traveled to nearby villages to fix borehole aprons and small bridges. He met elders, ate what they served, listened, and did not leave until water flowed or feet crossed safely. Word spread that he did not like shortcuts. Give him the work, people said. He will finish. In the 3rd year, the company moved into a bigger office with a glass door and a small signboard. Ebuka Build and Supply, civil works, drains, floors. He formed a small advisory board. Elder Maduka, Mrs. Uloma, and Mr. Augustine. They met once a quarter, drank malt, and talked slowly. Do not borrow because others borrow, Maduka said. Grow at a speed you can control, Mrs. Uloma added. Keep your books neat, Mr. Augustine reminded. He listened. By the 4th year, a clean private investor group led by a banker named Chidera asked to meet. We back honest small firms, Chidera said. We like your numbers and your references. We can help you scale. I want to scale, Ebuka replied, but not lose my soul. Chidera smiled. That is why we are here. They invested with clear terms. He bought a second compacting machine, a small truck, and better tools. He hired a site engineer, Adaolisa, who had a diploma and sharp eyes. She checked levels with a spirit level and corrected boys with a gentle voice. Line straight, she said. Again. They took on a mid-size road project. 2 kilometers of side drains and a small culvert. It was the biggest job yet. On the first morning, Ebuka told the team, we will not cut corners. We will finish with pride. No fights, no lies. If a mistake happens, we fix it. They finished on time. The council chairman cut a ribbon. People clapped. The drain carried the first rain like a song. A reporter from Radio Omalicha called for an interview. How did you rise? The host asked. Ebuka smiled into the mic. Work, honesty, God, and people who gave me a chance. That is all, the host said. That is enough, he replied. The company grew into EBS Works Limited. The logo was a small line and a small curve, like a drain and a road. Ebuka wore plain shirts and a hard hat on site. In the office, people called him Sir, but he still bent to lift a block when time was tight. He still checked receipts every Friday before salaries went out. He did one more thing. Each term, he paid the fees of 5 pupils at St. Peter's Nursery and Primary School. He asked Augustine to choose quietly. Choose the ones who need it, he said. No noise. God bless you. Augustine replied. On market days, women waved with both hands. Men called, engineer, CEO. Children ran to touch the small truck. He felt shy when praise came and always said the same thing. We are trying, he said. There is more to do. At home, Chinyere sat on the veranda and watched her son step out each morning with a file under his arm. She carried pride in her chest the way a woman carries a baby, careful, grateful, quiet. One evening, as the sun dropped, Ebuka walked back to the stream. The udala tree stood tall and full. The bark felt warm under his hand. He remembered 2 boys and a promise made with the smell of ripe fruit in the air. He closed his eyes and spoke in a small voice. Thank you, he said. Keep me humble. A group of boys ran past, pushing a tire. One stopped. Uncle, are you the man that fixed the road by the health center? Yes, Ebuka said. My mother said you did well. The boy grinned. Tell her thank you, Ebuka replied. He went home with quiet joy. Investors believed in him because he had shown simple truth again and again. Workers followed him because he did not cheat them. Clients returned because his work did not fail when the first rain fell. People began to point him out in the market, not with envy, but with respect. That is Ebuka, they said. The one who started small. The one who kept his word. And he did what he had always done, woke early, prayed short, tied his boots, opened his small book and went back to work. The wheel had turned, like he said it would. He stood where he had dreamed, not above people, but among them, steady as a clean line, on fresh concrete, under the wide, honest sky. Morning light touched the street like pale water. Chijioke woke with hunger, pressing his stomach and a dry taste in his mouth. He washed his face at the backyard tap, wore a clean but old shirt and shoes with thin soles, folded his tattered CV into a brown envelope with a torn corner, said a short prayer, locked the door and walked out. He did not know where he was going, only that he must not return home with empty hands again. He followed the main road because the road was sure. Cars passed. Keke horns broke the quiet. A woman spread bread on a tray. The smell pulled him, but he kept walking. At the roundabout, a wide building with glass doors and a neat signboard shone with fresh paint. A banner at the gate read, Walk-in interviews today, junior positions, 9 a.m. He read it twice. He looked at his shoes, then the banner. Any job, he breathed. Even store work, even cleaner. He walked to the gate. A tall security man with a calm face stepped out. His tag read, UCHE. Good morning, UCHE said. Good morning, I came for the interview, Chijioke replied. UCHE noted his name in a big book and gave him a tag. Go to reception, sign the list, wait for your turn. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of floor polish. Framed photos of finished drains and clean roads lined the walls. A short line formed at a desk where a young woman with a laptop, Ngozi, smiled the same warm smile for everyone. Good morning, she said when it reached him. Name, phone number, position. He hesitated, then wrote, any position. Please take this form, she said. If you need a pen, I have, thank you. He sat in a waiting area under a slow fan. Some applicants wore smart clothes. Some were dressed like him. From the corridor, a sentence floated out and settled in the air. Build right, build clean. It sounded like a motto. He glanced at a wall sign and saw the name at last. EBS Works Limited. His throat went dry. In his mind flashed a barbershop with a cracked mirror, a church aisle, a suya stand, a fuel station, the places his laughter had once cut like a knife. He shut his eyes. God have mercy. If this is where the wheel turns, hold my hand. He opened his eyes and stayed seated. The form was plain. Name, address, 2 referees, last work done. One question. What is one safety rule you follow on site? light. He wrote neatly, "Wear helmet and vest. Keep the place clean. Do not rush water in concrete." His hand shook. A door opened. A woman with a firm, kind face stepped out with a file. "Good morning, everyone," she said. "My name is Chinaza. I'm from HR. We'll screen forms and interview you in small groups. Please relax." She collected forms. Her eye caught the tear on his envelope. She gave a small nod, the kind people give when they see struggle and understand it. Minutes dragged. He held his envelope with both hands and listened to the fan. Second group, Chijioke, Okwudili, Chidera, Ifeanyi, Chinaza called. They followed her to a small room with a long table. A tape measure and spirit level lay on it. "This is a simple test," Chinaza said. "Measure this board and write the length. Then tell me 2 things you will do to keep a site safe." One by one, they did it. When it reached him, he set the tape, read the mark, wrote the number, steadied the spirit level till the bubble sat in the middle. "Helmet, vest, clean site," he said, "and no shouting at clients." "Thank you," Chinaza ticked. They sat again. She asked, "Last job? Why do you want to work with us?" When it reached him, he did not lie. "My last work was carrying blocks and mixing," he said. "Before that, I ran a shop. It did not end well." He breathed in. "I am ready to start anywhere. I want to work with a company that keeps time and keeps word." "Can you work under a younger supervisor?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "I can take correction." Back in the waiting area, more people had come. Okwudili whispered, "This one with his village shoes wants a city job." No one answered. A soft voice called, "Next panel, Chijioke." His legs felt light and heavy at once. He entered a brighter room. 3 people sat behind a table. Adaolisa, a site engineer, Chinaza from HR, and at the far end, in a plain shirt, a face he knew like his own palm, Ebuka. His breath stopped for a beat. Warmth rose to his eyes. He held his envelope tighter. "Good morning," Ebuka said, voice steady. "Please sit." "Good morning," Chijioke replied, small-voiced. He sat. Adaolisa began. "Tell us about yourself." "My name is Chijioke. I was raised here. I have done many small jobs. I know how to measure, mix, carry, and clean. I can read a simple plan, keep records. I am ready to start low and grow." "What position are you open to?" Chinaza asked. "Any, even store work, even site hand. I will not complain." "What do you do when a mistake happens on site?" Adaolisa asked. "I say it. I do not hide it. I call my lead and we fix it." Chinaza tapped his CV's frayed edge. "What happened here? Business owner? Past?" He swallowed. "Truth had value in this room. I had money once," he said. "I spent without sense. I took wrong advice. I lost. I also lost myself. I am sorry for those days." Silence sat, soft. A fan turned above. A distant horn faded. Then Ebuka spoke. "Why EBS? You could walk into any other office." "I did not check the name when I entered," Chijioke said. "I only saw walk-in interviews. When I sat and saw the logo, I wanted to run. But I stayed because I need work, and because I believe a clean company can help me become clean again." Ebuka studied him. "What have you learned from the last 3 years?" "That pride is a loud drum. It can drown small warnings. That friends who clap can push you into a hole. That money without sense is wind. That no man should put his mouth on another man's pain." His words came easy because they were true. Adaolisa's eyes softened. Chinaza wrote. Ebuka's jaw moved, holding back a memory. Chijioke coughed. "I also owe you a word," he said to Ebuka. "Not for this job, for my soul. Those days I laughed at you. In the barber shop, in church, at the suya stand, at the fuel station. My words were bad. I have carried them like stones. I am sorry." Silence again, clear this time. "Apology accepted," Ebuka said, calm. He held the gaze, then looked at the file. "Thank you." Chinaza brought the room back to process. If offered an entry role, there will be 3 months probation. Training in safety and record keeping. A code. No insults, no lies, no shortcuts. Are you ready? "I am ready." Can you start at the store, receiving materials, counting, keeping it neat, signing delivery notes? Adaolisa asked. Not a big role, honest work. Yes, he said. I can start there today. The panel nodded. Ebuka closed the file. Please wait outside. HR will call you. Thank you, he said, bowing his head a little as he left. He leaned on the cool corridor wall and let out a breath. Thank you, he whispered to God, not because he had the job yet, but because the room had not turned him away. Ngozi called 2 names, then looked up. Please, Chijioke, come. He stepped to the desk. Chinaza stood with a small white paper. We are offering you a junior store assistant role, she said, smiling with her eyes. 3 months probation, basic pay, lunch on site, safety training starts tomorrow. You'll report to Uka, the store lead, and Adaolisa on site days. If you pass probation, pay rises and you choose path, store or site. His eyes blinked fast. Thank you, he said, voice breaking. There are conditions, Chinaza added kindly. No loans in the first month, no side deals. Attendance is strict. Can you handle that? Yes, I will sign. She handed him an offer letter on clean paper. He held it with both hands, signed where she pointed. Ngozi photocopied his ID and stapled it. UCHE drifted closer and gave a small grin, the kind men give when happy for another man. Report tomorrow, 7:30 a.m., Chinaza said. Wear boots if you have. If not, we will issue a pair from store. See Uzo upstairs for orientation. He paused at the name, Uzo, and remembered a long ago text that helped his mother. Thank you, he said again. God bless you. He stepped into bright noon. The world looked the same. Kiki noise, sun heat, a boy with a wheelbarrow. But inside him, something had shifted. Hunger still sat in his belly, but hope sat beside it now, and hope was stronger. He bought 2 akara bowls and a small sachet of water, ate slowly, felt strength return, and turned toward home. He passed the old road to the stream and looked at the distant udala tree, heavy with shade. He thought of touching its bark, but work had called his name. Tomorrow would be long, he must sleep early. At a corner, a barefoot boy strained under a heavy bucket. The bucket tipped. Chijioke lifted it easily and carried it to the gate. Thank you, sir, the boy said, eyes bright. It is nothing, he replied. One day you will help another person too. At the old bungalow, hibiscus still opened like cups. Inside, Ade sat with a bowl of beans, picking stones with careful fingers. She looked up. My son, she said, how did it go? He held up the paper like a lantern. I got a job, he said, soft and full. I start tomorrow. She closed her eyes and lifted her face for a quiet second. Chidi, she said, God lives. They sat together in easy silence. The wind moved leaves. A radio played a slow song. Night came early, as it does when a man has work in the morning. He cleaned his shirt, spread it on a chair, washed his socks and pegged them to the line, slid the offer letter under his pillow like a boy hides a gift, and knelt. God, he said simply, help me carry this work with respect. Help me keep quiet when I should keep quiet. Help me learn. Sleep came with a gentle hand. Across town, in a lit office above reception, Ebuka watched UCHE wave a man in an old shirt through the gate. The old ache rose and fell like a tide that knows its shore. Adaolisa stood in the doorway. You are sure? She asked. I am sure, he said. Everybody deserves a first chance. Some of us need a second. She nodded. We will watch him. We will train him. We will hold the line. We will, he said. He turned off the light and left. On the wall, the motto sat in the dark. Still true, build right, build clean. And under those words, a man who once laughed too loud walked toward a new beginning. Not with noise now, but with a quiet heart and a steady step. Morning came soft and pale. Chijioke reached the gate of EBUBE's works before 7:30. The security man, UCHE, checked the list and smiled. You are early, UCHE said. I do not want to be late on my first day, Chijioke replied. UCHE gave him a tag and pointed to reception. Inside, the floor shone. The air was cool. On the wall, the words sat in simple letters. Build right, build clean. He read them twice and breathed out slowly. Ngozi at the desk looked up. Good morning. Orientation will start soon. Please sit. He joined other new people on plastic chairs. Okwudili from yesterday whispered to a lady, but kept his voice low. Files moved. A printer hummed. The day slid forward like a calm river. Chinaza came out with a small smile. Welcome, those on probation. Follow me. In a small room, she spoke of safety, time, pay, and handed out forms. Sign here. If you need boots, the store will issue a pair. When they were done, she added, now, one by one, the CEO will meet you. Do not be afraid. It is standard. Chijioke's heart jumped. He wiped his palm on his trousers. Uzo entered with a simple folder. I will handle your ID card and show you the store, he said. He gave Chijioke a small nod. We'll take your photo after the CEO sees you. He waited on a quieter corridor now. A door stood half open at the end. He heard the soft tap of keys. The chair felt hard. Sweat gathered at his back, though the air was cool. He prayed without moving his lips. The secretary there, Ifeoma, looked up. Next, she said gently. Please go in. He pushed the door wide and stepped into the office, then froze. Behind the desk, files in neat piles and a simple laptop open, sat Ibuka. For a short moment, the room held only the sound of the AC. The two boys from the Udala tree looked at each other across a man's desk. Chijioke's throat closed. All the places where his laughter had once cut, barbershop, church, suya stand, fuel station, rose like dust. His envelope slipped, then he caught it again. His eyes burned. He went down on his knees. Ebuka! His voice broke. I am sorry for how I treated you. Silence sat between them, clean and deep. Ebuka did not rush. He stood, came round the desk, and stopped in front of him. No pride, only kindness. My brother, Ebuka said, steady and soft. I forgave you long ago. He offered a hand. Stand. In this office, men do not kneel. We stand and talk. Chijioke took the hand and rose. His legs shook. A tear touched his lip. He wiped it with the back of his hand. I do not deserve your hand, he said. None of us deserve all we get, Ebuka replied. Sit. Chijioke sat, holding his envelope to his chest. Ebuka leaned forward, elbows on the table. I will not speak long, Ebuka said. This is work. You are here as junior staff. You will be trained. You will be paid. You will be corrected. You will follow our rules. I will not give you soft road because we were boys together. And I will not close doors because of the past. That is how we do things here. I understand, Chijioke said. I want a clean start. I will keep the rules. You will report to Uka in the store, Ebuka said. You will learn how we receive, count, record, stack. You will learn to sign delivery notes. If a driver brings 19 and asks you to mark 20, you will say no. Count twice, write once. I will learn, Chijioke said. If you make a mistake, say it, Ebuka added. Do not hide it. Do not cut corners. Do not carry company things home. No side deals. Small stealing is normal to some people in this town. Not here. Yes, Chijioke replied. I will not steal. Ebuka's voice softened. One more thing. Do not carry your shame like a sack. It will make you slow. Carry your lesson. Put the shame down. I will try, Chijioke said, eyes wet again. Ebuka opened a drawer and gave him a clean handkerchief. Use this. Return it to Uzo later. There was a gentle knock. Come, Ebuka said. Chinaza stepped in with a folder. Sir, probation papers. She read the room in one glance, nodded to both men, and set the file down. Thank you, Ebuka said. Please ask Uka to wait for him at the store. When she left, Ebuka asked, Do you have food money today? I will manage, Chijioke whispered. Manage is not a plan, Ebuka said. He pushed a small sum across the table. This is not pay. It is for lunch and transport. From tomorrow, HR will handle lunch. If you do not want it, I will keep it. Chijioke felt heat in his face. He wanted to say no, then remembered his empty stomach and the new rule: do not carry shame, carry lesson. Thank you, he said. I will return it from my first pay. No need, Ibuka replied. Return it to another person when you can. They sat in a quiet moment that felt like standing by the stream again. I pass the Udala tree sometimes, Ibuka said. I sat there the night the house went, Chijioke replied. I said sorry to the tree. I did not know where else to put the words. They gave small smiles with pain and peace inside. Work is waiting, Ibuka said at last. He stamped the form, firm, neat. Welcome to EBS. Thank you, Chijioke said, standing. Chijioke, Ibuka added, if anybody here disrespects you about the past, do not fight. Report to HR. We correct with process, not fists. I understand, Chijioke said, and stepped out. In the corridor, Ifeoma smiled. How did it go? It went well, he said. His voice found small strength. Good, Uzo will take you. In a small photo room, a gray cloth hung behind a stool. The camera clicked. Fine, Uzo said. Now to the store. Through a side passage, they entered a wide, clean space with shelves. Cement bags stood in straight lines. Iron rods lay in stacks. A man with broad shoulders and clear eyes waited with a pen behind his ear. Uka. 3 months probation, Uzo said. Store first. Teach him the way. Uka shook hands with Chijioke. Strong, not crushing. Welcome. Here we count with iron hand. We keep things straight. We sign after we check. We do not argue with wood or steel. We arrange them. Yes, sir, Chijioke said. Uka opened a big ledger. Straight lines, careful entries. First lesson. A truck brings 200 bags of cement today. You will do 3 things. 1. Count as they come down. Do not keep it in your head. Tally with this pencil. 2. Check for torn bags and note them. 3. Stack on pallets, 10 by 10, 5 high. Leave a walkway. Then sign the delivery note and write how many were torn. If the driver wants to hide torn bags, say no and call me. Clear? Clear, Chijioke said. A horn sounded. A truck coughed into the yard. Dust rose. The driver, Emeka, jumped down. Morning. Back to the pallet, Uka replied. Boys climbed and dropped bags. Powder misted the air. Chijioke lifted the first bag. His arms shook a little. He set it down, straightened it, made the first mark on the tally sheet. Start, Uka said. They worked. Sweat ran. The pile grew. Each bag placed. A small line on paper. A torn bag. Set aside. Write T. By the end, the ground was dust white. The stack stood neat. 10, 10, 5 high, a small path between stacks. He counted his marks. 195 good, 5 torn. Emeka, Uka said, you brought 5 torn. We will reduce the invoice. Ah, Oga, just sign full. Small tear, Emeka tried. No, Uka said, we will not lie on paper. Fix it with your yard. Emeka looked down, then nodded. Okay, write it as it is. Sign, Uka said. Emeka signed. Uka signed. He passed the note to Chijioke. Sign as witness. Chijioke signed. A small pride rose in his chest. Quiet, true. He stacked the 5 torn bags aside and chalked the number on the board. At noon, the bell rang for lunch. In the canteen, rice, beans, stew, water. People queued in order, no pushing, no loud talk. Chijioke collected a plate and sat in a corner. The food was simple and hot. He closed his eyes and said a quiet thank you. Adaolisa passed with a file. How is the store? Fine, madam. We received cement, 5 torn. She nodded. Note it. Good job. Okwudili walked in with 2 friends, looked once, then looked away. No jokes. The canteen had its own calm. After lunch, Uzo gave him his ID card on a lanyard, his name under the company logo. He held it and smiled in a shy way. By late afternoon, the store was neat again. Uka walked the aisles, checked stacks with a quick eye, and said at last, You did well. Do not relax. Work is every day. Yes, sir, Chijioke replied. Before closing, a message from Ifeoma pinged Uka's phone. Send the new staff to the CEO for 5 minutes. Go, Uka said. Do not stay long. Chijioke dusted his shirt and walked back to the office. He knocked. Come, Ibuka said. How was the first job? He asked. We received cement. 5 ton. We marked and signed, Chijioke answered. Good, Ibuka said. Tomorrow, learn steel tally. It is slower. Your back will shout. Do not answer it. They shared a small smile. I will not fail you, Chijioke said, voice steady now. Do not work for me, Ibuka replied. Work for the name on your ID. Work for the words on the wall. Chijioke glanced at the motto, build right, build clean. He nodded. When you close today, Ibuka added, go home and rest. Greet Mama Adaeze for me. I will tell her, Chijioke said. At the door he stopped. Thank you, not just for the job, for not letting my shame be my name. We are not what we did in our worst hour, Ibuka said. We are what we choose next. Chijioke stepped out. Office noise sounded like music now. Keys, printers, low voices, a phone that rang and stopped. At reception, Ngozi waved. Welcome to the team. Thank you, he said. Outside, UCHE opened the gate. The evening sun sat low. Street noise wrapped the air. He tucked his new ID inside his shirt and walked like a man who had found a road and would not leave it. On his way home, he paused to look toward the old path. The Udala tree stood far off, tall and shade-heavy. He lifted his hand once, greeting an old friend, then moved on. There would be time to sit under that shade again. For now, there was work. For now, there was a clean desk in a bright office where a boy he once mocked had become a man who could forgive. The wheel had turned and 2 lives were finding a straight line again under the same wide sky. The second day began with a short meeting in the yard. Staff stood in a half circle, helmets tucked under arms, vests bright in the sun. Adaolisa held a clipboard. Good morning, she said. Today we receive iron rods, service the compacting machine, and mark out the health center walkway. Safety first, no shortcuts. Yes, madam, the team replied. Chijioke stood near the back beside Uka. His back still ached from yesterday's cement, but his mind was clear. He wanted to do well, not for show, not for pity, but because right felt right. When the meeting ended, Uka tapped his shoulder. We start with rods. Counting steel is slow work. Use eyes, not guess. They moved to the store yard. A truck reversed with a long beep. The driver waved a waybill. Bring the hooks, Uka said. Lift carefully. Count aloud. 20 lengths, a boy called. Say the size too, Uka corrected. 12 millimeter, 20 lengths. Chijioke repeated, steady. 12 millimeter, 20 lengths. He marked the ledger. When a bundle looked bent, he set it aside and wrote it down. By noon, sweat ran into his eyes, but the pile stood straight. Uka checked the tally and nodded. Good. You are slow, but you are correct. Speed will come. Keep your mind clean. After lunch, Chinaza gathered the new staff. A short video played about ethics and records. She paused it. Listen well, she said. The town is watching EBS works. If a driver slips you 1,000 to sign false numbers, you say no. If a cousin asks for small steel at night, you say no. If a mistake happens, you report. We will not shame you for truth. A hand rose. What if someone laughs because you said no? Let them laugh, Chinaza said. You will sleep well. Back in the store, a driver tried it. Oga, sign 30. It is 28. I will settle you. Chijioke met his eyes. No, count is count. If you push me, I will call Uka. The man raised his hands and laughed. Okay, write 28. That evening, Uzo handed out ID cards. Wear them tomorrow, he said. And remember, this plastic does not make you a good man. Your choices do. On the third day, Ibuka asked for a short one-on-one. He did not sit behind his desk. He sat in the small meeting corner and pointed to the chair beside him. Sit, he said. Thank you, Chijioke replied. Ibuka looked at him with steady eyes. I will say something to you today, and I want you to keep it like a seed. I am listening. Humility opens doors that pride destroys. The words landed with weight and gentleness. I understand, Chijioke said. If you forget, Ibuka added, look at the gate. The doors opened because you came low, not because you came loud. I will remember. Days rolled into weeks. In the canteen, He ate without rush. People began to see him not as a story, but as a worker who kept time. He made friends the quiet way, by showing up, holding a board while another drilled, sharing a seat, telling a small joke when the day felt long. One Friday, he stopped at the barber shop with the cracked mirror. Emeka, the barber, smiled. "My customer, it has been long." "It has," Chijioke said. After the cut, he faced the mirror. "Emeka, I was proud here once. I said bad words. I am sorry." Emeka's eyes softened. "You have said it. God hears." He tipped him and left lighter. At the suya stand, Izuchukwu sliced meat while smoke curled. "My brother, welcome. I mocked you here once," Chijioke said. "I am sorry," Izuchukwu grinned. "Eat meat and forget sorrow," he said, adding 2 extra strips. He went to the church and found the catechist after prayers. "I spoke wrong words here. I ask for mercy. Mercy is near when the mouth speaks truth," the old man replied. At home, Adais watched him leave at dawn and return before dark. Food stayed simple and warm. They spoke more and argued less. One night, she took his hand. "My son, I see your steps. Keep them." "I will," he said. 2 months passed. Chinaza called him for a probation check with a form. Attendance, good. Safety, good. Honesty, strong. Area to improve. Speed with steel tally. He smiled. "I am still counting with my eyes." "Good," she said. "Eyes beforehand." Uka added a note in firm handwriting. "He listens. He is humble. Promote to store clerk after probation." On a Saturday, the company did community work at St. Peter's School, painting walls and fixing desks. Staff wore company t-shirts. Children ran about with happy noise. Mr. Augustine, the head teacher, stood at the gate with a big smile. "Engineer," he told Ebuka, "thank you for remembering us." "We started here," Ebuka said. "We must come back." Chijioke worked in primary 4. He held a desk while a boy named Somadina tightened bolts. A girl named Oluchi painted with care. When they finished, the room looked brighter. Mr. Augustine looked around. "Good work. Clean lines. No stains." "Clean is our way," Chijioke said. In the afternoon, Ebuka brought 2 cold sachets of water. "Let us sit." They sat on a low step. Children chased a ball. A whistle blew. For a moment, it felt like they were boys again. "I have been thinking," Ebuka said. "When your probation ends, we can try you on a small site 2 days a week. You will keep store 3 days. See both sides." "I will be grateful," Chijioke said. "You will be there because Uka and Chinaza wrote good things," Ebuka added. "Not because we knew each other as boys." "I know. Thank you." 3 months ended with a short yard ceremony. Chinaza called names and handed letters. "Chijioke," she called. Staff clapped. He took the letter. Adaulisa said, "Well done." Uka shook his hand. "From Monday, 2 days with Adaulisa on the health center walkway. Wear boots. Keep quiet. Watch more than you talk." "Yes, sir." Site work opened a new door. He saw how a line on paper becomes a line on ground. He watched Adalisa check levels. "Bubble in the middle," she said. "Do not fight the ground. Read it." He carried pegs and string, held the spirit level, learned to tell sand by feel, and swept until the path looked like a promise. When he made a small mistake, he said it fast. They fixed it and moved on. One evening, a black SUV slowed by the site. Ikena and Somto looked out, faces older, eyes restless. "I thought that was you," Ikena said with a tight smile. "You now wear vest?" "I wear what the work needs," Chijioke said. Somto gave the old laugh that no longer moved him. "Hustle, my man." Chijioke nodded once and turned back to coil the string line. The past sat in the car, like a picture behind glass, seen, not touching. On a Sunday, he visited the Udala tree alone. The fruit hung heavy and sweet. The stream made a low song. He placed his palm on the bark. "Thank you," he said. "Teach me to remain small inside." Footsteps sounded. Ebuka was there, hands in pockets, smile easy. "You still come here," Ebuka said. "I do," he said. "It reminds me. They stood a while under the shade, not talking. Birds moved in the branches. A lizard froze on a warm stone. I want to ask one thing, Chijioke said. Will you greet Mama Adayeze with me this week? She prays for you every morning. I will come, Ebuka said. They went on Wednesday with a loaf of bread and oranges. Adayeze set stools on the veranda. My sons, she said, eyes bright. They ate bread with tea and told old stories. They laughed the safe kind of laughter that does not cut. At the end, she held both hands. Thank you for choosing love. Power makes some men proud and some men gentle. Be the gentle ones. We will try, Ebuka said. Work moved on. EBS won a new contract, a small culvert and drains by the market. The company held a town meeting in the council hall to explain the plan. People asked questions. Some feared a long closure. We will not block more than needed, Ebuka said. We will work in sections. If we say 7 days, it will be 7. A woman raised her hand. Who do we talk to if there is a problem? Adaolisa for site, he said, and Chinaza for office. Not me. They run the plan. He did not throw his title around. He held it like a small cup. During the project, an old man slipped near a trench. Chijioke dropped his peg and caught him before he fell, helped him sit, and handed water. Thank you, son, the old man said. Your hand is firm. Your step will be firm too, he said. We will finish soon. One night, rain came heavy. Fresh concrete needed cover. Uka called, Tarps now! Without waiting, Chijioke took a keke with Somadina and Kosiso. They hauled tarps in the rain, covered the work, tied ropes, and came back soaked and laughing like boys in a storm. In the morning, the surface was safe. Adaolisa walked the line and smiled. Good sense! At quarter's end, EBS held a staff forum in the canteen. Ebuka spoke briefly. Thank you for your work. We met deadlines. We kept rules. We paid on Friday. We will keep doing so. Remember our way. Build right. Build clean. He looked around the room. Store hands, site boys, front desk, HR, guards. We are not better than the town. We are part of the town. Greet people with respect. If you see a man in old shoes, greet him well. You do not know tomorrow. Heads nodded. Some looked at Chijioke with the respect smile of today. After the meeting, Ebuka pulled him aside. Next week, speak to the Saturday trainees for 2 hours. Tell them what you have learned. I am not a big man, Chijioke said. You are a true man, Ebuka replied. That is enough. On Saturday, he stood under the shed and faced 10 boys with notebooks. Come early, he said. Count well. Pay who you promised. If you are wrong, say it. If you are right, do not shout. Keep your shirt clean. Greet the small person. Greet the big person the same. A boy raised a hand. Sir, what if people mock you? Let them, he said. If your heart is clean, your tomorrow is safe. The wheel had turned and now moved on a firm road. The two friends did not pretend the past had not happened. They chose not to live inside it. They worked. They ate simple food. They greeted their mothers. They stood under the udala tree when they needed to remember. One evening, they left the office together. Uche waved at the gate. Ngozi locked the drawer. Ifeoma turned off the corridor light. The air smelled of rain, not yet fallen. Thank you, Chijioke said. Not for the job alone, but for the lesson. Which lesson? Ebuka asked, teasing. Humility opens doors that pride destroys, he said, and they smiled. At the road, they listened to the town's small music, kiki horns, a mother calling, a high life song, then shook hands like men, firm and sure, and went their ways, carrying the same truth in different pockets. Value people, not their possessions. From that day, their friendship rested on respect and love, solid like a well-laid slab, simple like clear water, strong enough to carry years to come under the wide, honest sky. Lesson: humility opens doors that pride destroys. Respect people, not what they own. Work hard, stay honest, forgive. Because life is a wheel. Thank you so much for watching. Your love and support mean everything to me. If this story inspired you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones to spread the inspiration. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting African stories. See you in the next video. Bye.